So this is the 2025 Sizzix Holiday Classic release. And you can see it's kind of double the amount we did for Halloween, but it's the holidays. So you want more inspiration. And if you're new to the Sizzix Classic concept for this year, just want to give you a quick rundown, the difference between Classics and Vault. Vault were collections where we took designs from different dies that I've designed for Sizzix over like the last 15 years. We've reimagined them, reconfigured them, and packaged those, kind of a mishmash set. That's what I refer to as Vault. These are Classics. And what Classics are, they are the return of some of my personal favorites exactly as they were. No changes, same size, same scale, same everything. Same packaging for a lot of them. If it was a real older one that used to have the brown packaging like Mary Moose, that has been updated. But just know that if you look at these and you're like, oh, I think I have this, then you have it because it is exactly the same as it was. But it's nice to have Classics because maybe you didn't get these the first time around and you don't want to pay, second market pricing, which is crazy for dies. And maybe you have them, but maybe you haven't been inspired in a while to use them. And so you'll see inspiration. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to get that out. It is very cool, especially when you see the type of inspiration and makes, because obviously there are favorites, and that to me is what Classics are all about. But we do have two new 3D texture fades, and these are large A5. So the designs, we have them in the original smaller, like the A2 size, and these are the larger A5, and we have engraved for this one and kaleidoscope. So just want to take you through. I'll talk about the dies real quick. We're going to get into the makes, and then I'll highlight the folders. All right, fair enough to everyone? Okay, so I'll stack these up just so I can go through them a little quicker this way because I do think, well, they're fun. So this first one, I'll just hold it up. Mini Christmas things, just a lot of great small icons. I think, having small little elements, especially if you do mini cards or tags or planners, it's just a really cute. I mean, you can see the style. It is old. It is classic, but I love the icons that we did, especially love the little calendar. But these are very tiny in scale, but you can do some great things with it. And you'll see in the inspiration, like what you can do with cards. This one, Festive Things, definitely festive. I love a lot of these elements. I'll say, there's some that I definitely gravitate towards on this particular set more than others. And that would be these coffee cups and mugs. In fact, when I did Classic Mouse and we were talking about the coffee cup, this is the die set that it was from. So I'm happy that it returned this year because a lot of people were looking for it after that live. So if you're looking for that cute little coffee cup and mug, it's from this set, but it also has a great stocking and mitten, bell, the wreath. You can see the package, that really fun, funky ice skate, cool hat. So, festive things for the win. This next one, don't be put off by the packaging, because I will say, this is one of the older ones. This was one that, came out years ago in the brown packaging, and I would say that, you look at it, you're like, wah, wah. But this die is cool in the fact that it's a gift card box, if you will. So it's kind of like an envelope pouch that has this top piece that has these little notches cut out. You can insert a gift card and you can close it up and it looks like a gift. It comes with a little tag, or you can pull this out and open the present and your gift card's in there. So you'll see just some fun kind of ideas for this one. This is definitely a classic, but I think this one can be year round. So that's what I was saying about the packaging. It came out at Christmas when it first came out, so it definitely has a holiday vibe, but this to me is one of the most used dies because you can do this for birthdays and Valentine's Day and anniversaries and anytime you want to give a gift card and you just want to make something handmade to present it. So it is a great one. A favorite of many, this has been asked for so long to bring back. This is Mary Moose, very whimsical guy. He just kind of prances along. I love the big antlers up here, and this pine tree alone is very cool. You're going to see a make that Pete did using the tree. So two very classic designs, but yeah, he has such a whimsy vibe, very animated. I love the bells that he wears. Just a fun one. Mary Moose is definitely Mary. Christmas ribbon. So this one is a very detailed die, if you will, because all of these letters, they are connected to one another. So when you cut out Merry Christmas, it is one piece. It comes in two different sizes. So depending on whether you're doing smaller cards or maybe you're doing larger cards or you just want something that's a bigger scale. But just keep in mind that the unique part about this is all of these elements are connected. So when you cut it, even the dot on the I is connected to the Y. So it comes out as one piece and it's very easy to add something to a card. And then of course you get this bow. The bow is really nice because you can add the bow either to the tail of the Y or just put it on with a card, but it has that great kind of stylistic look like this script. So you know, sometimes you just want just a quick word die. Go for it. This next one, now, this is not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that right now. This is Jolly St. Nick, and this guy was the very first Colorize that I ever did. So it was quite a while ago. And this was before we were like working off of background colors and shadows. This one is really built from the bottom up, and his head is separate from his body, but it's still a very cool die. If you like Colorize and you like the added detail and animation of it, this is just a great die. So that's why we brought it back for the season. And I'll mention that, like, these have come back only for the season. These are not back permanently. Once they sell out for the season, they're gone again. So if it's something that you've kept your eye on and you want, definitely get that. And that includes these next ones. All right, just wanted to do that little interruption right there. This is a favorite. This one is Fireside. And this is also a really cool die that can be used. You'll see from Zoe Hillman that it's not just for Christmas. If you like the idea of the mantle, the fire, there's some very cool elements in this particular die that you could use for many other seasons other than the holidays. But it just has such a cool vibe, and he does pair really well with Jolly St. Nick, even from a scale perspective. So if you're doing a larger canvas or a vignette, very, very cool to put these together if you're going to create some type of story theme. A definite popular die, one of my favorites. This is Holiday Greens Mini. And these are when I say very, they're just, well, maybe you can kind of see the size. You'll see from the makes, but they're a much smaller scale green. And what's nice about this is it's that great filler, and it works so well with so many other dies you might have, whether they're Sizzix or not, because of the scale. So you get like a small juniper piece, different types of pine, even more of a wispy woodsy pine. You'll get a holly branch, holly leaves, another smaller little piece of juniper, some berries. These could easily be cut apart. So this one is that good fill in the blanker, and it was a classic for a very long time, and then it was retired, and now it's back for this classic release this season. So if you've been looking for that greenery die, it's definitely a great value and something that you will use a lot. This next one, Merry and Bright, it is all about words. I mean, word dies are cool. This has a much larger presence than this one. So this is pretty much full on. It will definitely fit an A2 in its entirety. The thing about this particular one is, yes, you have Merry that is connected. You have Bright that is connected. The dot on the I is separate. The word and is separate. So you will have to kind of piece that together. It's not much. And then you've got these great little accents. But I love not only the scale of it, but kind of the big, wide loopiness of it as well. It's a bit airy. So I like that. It's fun. But I think stylistically, it goes with a lot of other things in the collection. So that's why we have it. This next one, this is Snowglobe number 2. I did 2 Snowglobe dies for Sizzix, and this is number 2. I love this one because I think of how it's designed, and hopefully the inspiration will also show you the versatility of this, because yes, you're getting the globe. So that in and of itself is great, because this globe die, again, could be used all the time. You can do Halloween elements in a globe. You can do spring elements in a globe. You can use that however you want, because you have that big circle and you have this base. But all of these little dwellings, these are all individual. So you'll see that you can create really great village scenes on cards or tags and not even use the globe. So it's cool that you could build it together. And of course it makes a great shakety shake if you die cut that and add your glitter. But even these little elements in here, like the little fence, the trees, the houses with the little bricks in the windows, the clouds and moons, it makes a great scene without the globe. So if you're like, oh, I'm not really, into that whole globe thing, the die is also very cool just on its own, because again, it doesn't have to be snow-covered roofs. It could be even like little creepy houses, or just the house and, the moon and the stars for someone that bought a new home. You're like, welcome home, sweet dreams, whatever. There's a lot of great ideas for it. All right. This next one, I will say, is my personal favorite that we brought back. It's called Scribbly Snowflakes, and it is my favorite of all. The reason is it reminds me of just the old school holiday claymation cartoons. I love those falling snowflakes. They're very animated and whimsical. It has such a great style, and there's so many different kinds of snowflakes on this particular set. Yes, it is a bit more whimsy, but I love it. You can keep it simple on some of the designs, or you can add the little dots. So some people are like, well, I like it, but I don't want to use the dots. You don't have to. When it cuts out, you can just toss them. But I love that it adds that little bit of twinkly sprinkly on there, especially if you're doing little glitter or sparkly paper. So it has a great whimsy vibe. When you see the inspiration, you'll see why it's a favorite. I needed this because we've got this guy, Winston. So Winston is a Colorize. He is a big, hearty snowman, and I like that. He just has that Winston vibe to it. I love the little die cut where it just kind of looks like his little brow is kind of squashed down because he's bundled up under that scarf. The scarf alone is fabulous. It works on other Colorize. If you've looked at any of the remixes that I've done, you can use this scarf on other Colorize animals or just other things. He also has just a great broom, a great top hat with the holly. So even if you use that on a card, it's cool because the top hat is big. So Winston has a lot of great elements, even if you were going to use it without actually using him as a snowman. But he's very simple to cut, but I just think his little wrinkly layers, he's cool. But even the broom would be great for Halloween. So you can put that down. It's got a little tie. You'll see from the samples. So those are the classic dies that we brought back for the holiday season of 2025. You'll see that there are 12 of them, quite a bit, but hopefully it's going to be something that maybe you don't have, or maybe you're just sitting back smiling right now going, I have all 12 and I can't wait to see new inspiration on what to do with them, right? All right, so I'm going to set these off to the side. For now, I'll bring them in as I show the makes, but we're going to need to talk about the two new large A5 that have returned. And these, of course, they're big. They are large 3D. And I'll talk about it because we did something different with Kaleidoscope than we've done with the other large A5. So let me just bring these in just to show. I have both of these here. Keep them in white so we can see. All right. Let me set these off to the side, bring in the folders, make sure I have them matched up. Okay, here we go. I have everything kind of set up. So this first one, this is engraved. I always get engraved and entangled confused, but like the thing about engraved versus entangled. Entangled is one that's like more flourishy and looks like tooled leather. Engraved has these deep etched engraved lines because that was the art that we took the inspiration from for this. The reason it was released during the holiday season is I just thought that this design has kind of a snowflake element, but I don't want you to think like, oh, it's only a winter design, because it isn't, but it does work beautifully for winter because it kind of looks like a zoomed in part of a snowflake. The large, you can see we've increased the scale, which we've done with all of the large A5s, with the exception of this one, which I'll talk about in a second. And what's nice about that larger scale is you just get much bolder detail. When you cut it for different projects, you can get more of that flourishy element without that floral center if you wanted, because you can see different parts and pieces, and just cropping that out. It's so cool, even like a little flourish on the top or like a fleur-de-lis. I love the look of this folder, probably one of my favorites just because this was later in the game for 3D. So we were really focusing on adding some unique textures. And this one definitely fits the bill for that because it has different crosshatches and different marks. So that is the difference between the standard one, which the standard size has been retired. I do think it's still available in places, but keep that in mind. This smaller version has been retired. Now we have the larger version, but it's great to have both in my opinion, because if you are doing just an A2 card, I think that this definitely fits really well for a background. All right. Then we have Kaleidoscope, and Kaleidoscope, when we did it, again, we were playing around with texture and different things that we can do with three-dimensional, especially 3D on folders. And this one, I'm going to try to hold it. This is just white cardstock. You'll see in some other samples, but we were really focusing on the facet approach of 3D. So there's definitely, some little florals, some tiny little details in here, but it's these facets. And a shout out to Jen Long, because I remember working with her on this one back in the day, because we were trying to create angles in folders, especially with an injection molded plastic that hadn't been done before. And I love the look of it. I also love the look of the back of it. So you can really see those facets, how they really kind of create that deep cavern. Looks florally, so it can definitely be used for florals or different backgrounds. But I also love just seeing the facets of Kaleidoscope. This particular one, we decided not to change the scale. And the reason is when we blew it up, I felt you lost the detail of these facets. And I didn't like that. I'm like, they just kind of look like nuggets and they didn't look like gems. And so we were like, well, then do we even need it? I'm like, heck yeah, because I love this pattern and design. And sometimes I want a bigger background bigger than an A2. So I want to point that out, that on this particular one, the scale is the same, but you just get a larger repeat pattern of that design, especially if you're working on larger things. And keep in mind with these large A5, like these fit in your Big Shot, your Vagabond, your Foldaway. I mean, it's the same width as like a Big's die. Okay, so you don't need a special machine. Although if you have a Switch Plus, it does make it a lot easier because this essentially covers your entire surface, and it does require a longer cutting pad if you are going to use it like on the Big Shot or the Vagabond. But if you have a larger one, it's really great. Janet asked, what is the best paper for embossing? Well, there isn't one actually, and I'll show you. I'm going to show you some different samples. I would say the best paper is the paper that you're going to use. How about that? Because it's different. I've embossed vellum with these, which is great. I've embossed thin paper. I've embossed thick paper. These particular samples, this is Distress white heavy stock, so it's 130 pound. The thicker paper to me like holds like way more texture and way more detail than thinner papers, but it doesn't mean you can't use thinner papers. I've even done, this is the Kraftstock Sparkle. So this one, take a look at that. This is craft paper. This is from Ideology, but it has this sparkle on it. Look at that. And it's not glitter. There's no texture. Nothing will come off. It's actually a printed sparkle, but look at how freaking beautiful that is on that paper. You get the detail, you get that shine, and take a look at, because sparkle in the pack, you get gold and silver, but take a look at just that sparkle with Kaleidoscope. Isn't that cool? So beautiful. So this is just using Kraftstock Sparkle, but of course you can also use metallic. So some other Ideology paper. So this is Ideology Metallic Kraftstock. So we say Kraftstock because it is 100-pound cover craft paper as the base, and the finish is printed. So just like this is printed with sparkle, these are printed with metallic. And metallic has classic, which of course are your classic metallics, silver, gold, kind of a rose gold, different types of copper, and even a black metallic. And then we also have that metallic in jewels. So this is a kind of a jewel color Kraftstock where you get pretty much the whole rainbow, you know, pink, red, orange, yellow, and all different shades. And what's nice about this is, man, besides that they're really shiny and super metallic, I love that you have the ability to distress them. So this is taking silver, again, Kraftstock. Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
Embossed, and then how I got the black in is after I embossed the paper. So this just started out as the regular plain silver. I just took some black acrylic paint. I used distress paint, but any black paint would work. Rub it in with a blending tool or a makeup sponge or some foam, and then immediately wipe off the excess. Paper towel, you can even go in with a baby wipe, and then the black just stays in the detail. But on this particular folder, you can see why engraved just now looks like, well, engraved metal, because especially if you're like going into copper, and look at that. Then you can add like patina, you can add different paints, you can add any kind of finish on this and use it to cover a frame, cover a box, put it on a foundation, the back of a card, put it on something, etc. And adding that patina really changes the whole dynamic of this. So it's cool. Look, it just even blew out the camera. There was like so much shine. It was like whoosh, so cool. This one, equally cool, but you have to like color. You have to like all the different colors of the rainbow to look cool. And what I love about this is that this one, I didn't do any black paint because for Kaleidoscope, I just love the shimmery of it. So I'm going to go through, because I did all the colors, because you have to see really what all the colors in here look like. So this is just done running through on the metallic, nothing else done. Does that mean you can't go back? Of course, you can go back and add paint. You could add crayon, do whatever you want to do with it. But like, that's the pink. Look at that, beautiful.
How about we talk about when you made those?
Okay, I made these 7 minutes before the live started because I do this thing called What I Want. And I was like, I want to make some samples. Mara's like, we go live in 7 minutes. I'm like, yep, boom. There we go. We did that. I was embossing. Heidi was trimming it off because, you know, the paper, it fits the folder. See, you have like just a little extra. So we didn't even have to.
Just one more idea. I just have one more idea. I got to do it.
That's right. We just put that in. So, but look at the red. The red is also beautiful. So this would be great for Valentine's Day as well as Christmas. Just a beautiful background. I'm telling you, the Kaleidoscope, you can see why that design is so perfect just because of the scale and those little facets. There's orange, there's the gold. So the gold came from the regular classic pack. I love the greens. There's like a lime chartreuse. I mean, they're just every color. That's why, like, when I started doing a sample, I first did red and then I did green. I'm like, oh, but I also like this minty green. That's so pretty. And then I'm like, oh, but I really like this light blue because it does look like snowflakes. And then I was like, oh, but this dark blue, look at that. Wow, it's kind of, that could be like fireworks for the 4th of July. I mean, that, you just think about the folder. And that's what I also like to do in live, is just remind you that maybe you have it, or maybe you think you're not going to get some use out of it, and maybe you still won't. But the fact that you have different ideas, like look at this one. It's like peacock feathers. I love that teal. I love the purple. There's 2 different purples in that particular pack. Look at it. They just, to me, all the colors look amazing. And then of course, if you just do it in silver metallic, this is what silver metallic looks like without paint. So I'll just hold these 2 up. So this, that's how this would have come out, just beautiful silver, but you can see how a little bit of acrylic paint just changes the finish. So if you don't have any metallic papers, not only are these great for embossing, but these are so good for die cutting, because if you die cut big words out of this, it just has almost this rounded edge where it looks like you used embossing powder or foiling, but you didn't, because this is a printed metallic. So that's what I wanted to share on the folders. That's why we brought those 2 particular ones back in an A5. Just so good. So good. All right. I'm going to set those. I think I'm going to just put those right here, Mario, and then I'm going to get into the makes. Let's get going. So again, a shout out to all the makers that made for Sizzix and sent stuff in. Also a shout out to Pete in the UK. He, poor guy, he made a bunch of samples. He was doing live in the UK, and I'm like, oh, but I want some samples here, Pete. So he made another set and sent them. So really, shout out. I love his work. So let's just bring in some of the elements, and I'll talk about I'll say the mini elements. So let me just bring in the sets, because it's a mishmash of these, just so you can see like what you can do. These go here, these all go here. Okay. So the great thing about this is that you get all of these little elements in both of them, you know, whether they're festive things or the holidays. I love the idea of just using the elements that you like to send a little card. This could be great for, you know, putting in a little gift card in there, do a little stamp sentiment, season's greetings. That's one of the stamps. I love the idea of that. Even those little stars, see these little kind of starry snowflakes right there that he put in the window? That's just cut up paper where he created kind of a cool wonky window, just cutting up rectangles, because Pete is brilliant, and then use those as little snow outside, and then the 2 cups. Super fun. You can tell those little dies are like, they're wonderful, aren't they? Because it's like, it could be a star, it could be a snowflake. I love the idea of the little potted tree, how he did that. And then again, did the garland. This is also a stamp. I wish I looked up the name before the live, but I know this is a Stampers Anonymous stamp that I did. Has a lot of other sentiments for year round. It's not hashtags, but it's one of those word sets. Maybe one of you guys know, but it's definitely a word set.
Maybe Ted could tell us.
I don't know. Maybe if he's here, he could tell us. Then we've got the little wreath, and then Joy to the World. I like the sentiment, and I like the background of that. So yeah, if he knows what that is. Because I know both of these are from different sets, but I like the idea of incorporating a simple sentiment, or maybe you have a sticker or a stamp that you can do. But you know, sometimes when you look at a die set that has all of these things that are so random, you're like, when would I ever use these? And that's the cool part, is you just get to use an element for the make. They weren't designed to ever work together, you know, other than the cups. It was just about mixing and matching. This, of course, totally different style. I think this one has a little bit more of a, I don't know, a vintage vibe to it. This is classic whimsy, but look at this card that people, like, to me, this would be great for an advent calendar. This would be great in a frame. I love what he did by just cutting out these icons and putting it on a craft panel, because this could be, you could put little magnets on the back of it. It's just cool. Oh, simple sayings. Thanks, Kay.
CMS 1.
That would be this one. Yep, simple sayings. Yeah, it's a good one.
Thanks, Kay.
Thanks, Kay. I love the idea of just using those icons. And these are dies that, honestly, if you don't feel inspired one day and you're like, I just don't know what to make with it, you can just sit down and just make these, because each one is a little element from start to finish. The way the die is designed as well is all the components for that thing are on the same die. So you could just cut it out of just multiple colors of cardstock, or you can just do all white cardstock and add your color with ink or markers. So it's just really cool. Great ideas for those dies. So cute. I agree. I've seen in the comments about Pete's style. I'm such a fan of Pete Hughes. And he's not on YouTube. He's not on Instagram. Pete's nowhere on social, but he does all the stuff for Sizzix. So that's where you see his makes and inspiration. It's a lot of fun. Another one that Pete did is this Colorize Jolly Saint Nick. I mean, like, just look at the colors. The coloring that he did, it's remarkable. It's, like I said, it's so animated. He's worth it, you know, and you can see from the size, like when you build him, he's pretty much the size of the entire package. But I've seen people actually just use the head, and it's not creepy because the head is a separate build and you can add it to the body, but it's very cute just to have that on a card or tag as well. This is one of those that it's worth doing, but you've got to give yourself a little grace and some time and maybe a glass of wine or something to enjoy the process of building, because it does take some time, but the results are just, he's wow. And even if you make one and you know, put it on an easel or a mantle or just put it in a frame, very cool. I love that one. Pete is so good. All right. Let me look through here. Oh, this next one. Okay. Next one. This is what I was saying about the gift card package. It is an easy one. I think my voice is saying you've talked enough this week.
Tired.
But I'm gonna rally. I'm gonna keep pushing through. So what's fun about this is that the build is actually pretty simple. Okay. When you create it, you are getting the dies that will cut out. I'll just open this up just so you can see. You are getting dies that you're going to be able to cut out like this pouch. So this pouch has a crease fold in it. It has tabs. So when you cut it out of paper, you fold in the tabs, you fold it closed, you add your adhesive, and you get your pocket base from one die. Just throws it in there. Just, you have it and it's done. Then you have an insert piece. So this insert piece, again, is another die. It's in there. It's going to also cut out these little notches, so it only cuts it out part way. Then you have a strip die. The strip die is used, you just use the same paper to actually cover the top. Then you have two ribbon dies, this and this. So when you really think about it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. That's it. And then it allows you to take a gift card. If you're going to put it in the little notch, you know, my suggestion, and I'll take this little Halloween one out just so you can see, is if you have like a glue dot or anything, you can add that to the back, or even just a little bit of double stick adhesive, just so when you put this in, it can actually stay in the box when the recipient is pulling this in and out. Okay. But once you add this, you simply slide it in the pocket, and the pocket is designed to be kind of, I'll just say, a wide build, if you will. So when you make it, you're going to already get this opening just because one end is actually a little bit wider than the other piece. So when you put that in, it just naturally creates that pocket. So it makes it easy to open and close. And that's what it is. But what's fun about it is that you can just change your papers. You can do inky backgrounds, you can do pattern paper, you can do sparkle paper, and then you can just look at that little birthday one. Simple. And you can add other elements. You'll see from the makes. These are ones that actually Mario, Heidi, and I were just making yesterday, because I'm like, oh, there's so many different themes. You can do this and this. And Heidi's like, let's make some samples. So this is one of my favorites. This is Kraftstock Sparkle, but this is plaid. We did this last year. It was retired. It didn't come back. But Heidi's like, we still have some in stock. I love that because of the plaid. We added some cork for that because, hello, any fans out there? Pumpkin spice latte. Hey, if you're PSL fans, put a pumpkin emoji in the chat. Look at that. Mario and I just had our first of the season. I think it was this week, right? Earlier this week.
Yeah.
So that's another fun thing, is just create something just for the season. Doesn't have to be Halloween or anything. Maybe you just want to throw in a little gift card for a friend. I absolutely love that. I see only a couple pumpkins. I guess my emoji shout is not as powerful as yours, Heidi. I do love it. Speaking of love, oh, there we go. Pumpkins are coming out. It's fun. It is cork. Yes, Kim, this is cork. This is a thin cork that I had just because I wanted to add a different texture to the bow. It's fun, right? I love that. It was a great contrast for the sparkle, because to me it had all the feels, all the vibes.
You get the pumpkin love.
Love it. Here's another love. And this is my love for, well, See's Candy. So even something as simple, if you guys are a fan of See's Candy as well, I love that we just used an ideology backdrop of the polka dot paper and white cardstock. So there is beauty in simplicity. You can just put these together. And then again, the nice thing about this die is it will be used year round when a birthday comes up, or, you know, you want to do a teacher gift or a neighbor gift. So that's what I wanted to show you that, because don't be fooled by the packaging where you're like, oh, it's another Christmas die. Yes, but it's really just a very cool, simple die that you can elevate however you want. And case in point for elevating the dies. I believe Keisha did these. I don't see her name on it, but I'm pretty sure she did. I hope she did. But I love how these stamped backgrounds, adding some of the elements, right? Like the little holiday greens, just putting that on. There's a little tag. So you can really, I love the addition of the string. So you can do a stamp sentiment. So once they take out their gift card, then there's a sentiment or a message left in there. I think that's really great. But see how you can totally change the theme or customization based on your color choices, your pattern choices, your papers, how you want to embellish an accent, and then it's still just a functional gift card holder. I love this die. So that's why I wanted to bring it back, because I know it did really well when it came out, but at the same time, I think people were really in the holiday season. And then after it was retired, they're like, oh my gosh, I should have got that die because it makes a great birthday present, or, you know, anytime you want to do gift cards. So take a look at this. This one's really cool. I love the idea of, Natifa did this one. I'm just going to open it up because Natifa does just like the coolest envelope. So look at how she did engraved on the whole back piece. But I just thought this was so clever to actually take that gift and mount it on something. So it could still be, if you don't want to do just this, you can still add it to an A2 card. And it could be on the card where they're just removing the top. So you would just adhere the base piece and then the recipient can still open it. So I love how she has that. And then there's a gift card inside. Isn't that great? And that the ribbon, the tails, they are designed to go over. Typically, I kind of just bend them up just a little bit. This way, when you close it, it just goes on the outside. And then she added Mary Mary. Super fun. I love that. It's just cool. So you can take the idea and run with it. That's my point. Running with an idea.
I'll take that C's gift card and run with it.
Okay, I'll give you that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes. So speaking of running with an idea, Tammy B created this, and I was just talking about using things on a card, and I had to look a couple times because I'm like, wait a minute, this is the box, this is the die. Look at that Starbucks card, putting it on a card. But look at how she also made smaller packages by just essentially creating the top build, but just trimming this off so you can do shorter packages. I love that stacked package card, and then you have a gift card on the top. Isn't that cute?
One I'll be taking.
I do. I love it. I think just the ideas for this is what makes me happy, that sometimes you see something so simple, but the imagination that plays out in this are just all of the amazing, fabulous things. It's so cool. Yeah, I love it. Love the ideas of, you know, a gift card package. He left it. Thank goodness. I was like, ooh, did he take that? Okay. Great inspiration, right? I love seeing in the chat too that you guys are inspired by it. So just keep that in mind. It is a classic. So when it's gone, it's gone. So even if you're not thinking of like doing gift cards or whatever for the holidays, but you might want it for birthdays or other things, that's going to be important. Yeah, thanks, Mario. All right. These next two, we'll bring these in. Pete created these. We're going to talk about Mary Moose. So let me find him. There you go. So the die itself, like I said, there's just two elements, but the elements are so stylistically great that you can use them together or separate, as Pete did. So this card, you can see, like, look at the build of him. Even those, look at those tiny little skinny legs. It was so fun. I remember when we first did this die, like we were pushing like how skinny we could get two blades to run parallel to create it. I mean, it brings back so many memories. We did little cut lines for his face, for like the eyes and the snout and the mouth, and then just that little collar with the bell. I love the funky antlers. And then I love how he just took that kaleidoscope, just embossed it, tore the edge, and it made a background. See that? It has such a wintry vibe, but having that larger folder just allows you to do more things. So I love it. Tanya said she got hers, glad we brought it back. It's a good one. This one, again, look at just using the tree. The tree, adding the snow, just doing a circle and creating a background. But I mean, it's this detail. Pete, come on. Just the fact that he like masks it off and inks that little shadow coming from the moon. Stop it right now. Come on. All is calm, all is bright. I love it. So just looking at that, I mean, that's what I was saying before about the tree. Like I fell in love with just the tree. I mean, the moose is cool, but it's such a cool die of a pine tree. Love it. That's Mary Moose. Oh, there's the other inspiration. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Tammy B did this one. take a look at this background. Just look at that metallic on, that was one of my favorite folders. I love that. But this is done with a stamp. So if you take a look, because when I love a design, if I can translate it into, I've done this design in a stamp, a stencil, an embossing folder. Because when you love a certain pattern, if it plays into those different tools, do it. But take a look at how she did that embossing on the back with the stamp. It just looks like burnished metal. I love the kaleidoscope in the back. And you can see on this one, let me point this out. See how she used I'll hold that up, the reverse side. Remember I told you about kaleidoscope that yes, it has those facet points that are raised up, but when you flip it over, you get those really cool deep valleys, but it catches the light. So cool. Then we've got the moose, we've got that tree, and then just Merry, because you don't have to use Merry and Bright. You can just use a word. I love that. I love the messy stitching around it as well. And then this one just makes me smile. Zoe Hillman created this scene. Look at that. Look at that Merry Moose. Just all the grungy distress coloring, and then how she did a whole forest of the trees and just cut them at different heights just to give that staggering look. There's that moonlight. Now that was a Halloween die, but that one's been retired. I know, remember Heidi was trying to find some. I think she found some, and I don't know, maybe you have it, but he's great for that, because these might have came out around similar times or when we were talking about it. I love how Zoe just used that in the background, because for scale, it's so perfect. But doesn't this have a completely different woodsy vibe? So these dies could be used for people that love the outdoors, that love camping, again, for birthdays, for things outside of the season. And I think that's important to remember when you're buying tools and dies, to even if you jot yourself a note and actually stick it on the package, like great for outdoors, camping, birthdays, and Christmas. Because, well, I need to start leaving myself more and more notes. But I'll be honest, I see the note and I say to Mari, I'm like, you have any idea what I meant when I wrote this? Nope. Yeah, that's my problem. I write notes and then I have no idea what I'm talking about. But look how she just gave it that seasonal punch on the bottom by adding the beautiful background of engraved. And then she added the Merry Christmas. So see how that Merry Christmas, I'll bring that one in as well. You see how that's just all connected? So it's such a beautiful design, because it's got all these little squiggly wiggly, twirly whirly ribbon curls in the font itself. And then it just comes out of the die. So I love how she, well, you know, it just has a lot of action going on. And but the fact that it's coming out as like one piece is really cool, because a lot of words, you know, when they're this complex, you need to piece it together. Nothing wrong with that, but I absolutely love it. And then you can see just those little bits of green. That's why we wanted to bring that die back. I'm glad that I have them here, Mario. I said, I think I want to leave the dies on my side so I can just pull them out, because you never know when one's going to pop up. Like the makers just use the things. So like the holly, see how like the holly works with this, works with this. This is why the whole idea and the whole concept of classics was really important. Maybe you have them. Maybe you're like, oh, I really want new. And I get that. But I also think there's a lot of people that never had a chance to get these. Or maybe when you first saw them, you were like, meh, not interested. And maybe your styles have changed where you're like, yeah, I think I love that. But the inspiration, new inspiration to me is where it's at. Because if you do have it, you can look and say, oh, I love that idea that Tammy did, or what Zoe did, or what Pete did. I'm going to get that die out. But so showing different ways to use something, that's what lives are all about. All right. Merry Moose. He is merry. It's cool. All right. We'll set that there. We'll bring these in. So this card Pete created, I'm going to talk about Fireside, because this one, I'm going to bring this in and the die. What I really like about this is that it definitely has a very storybook feel to it. And when I designed this die, that was my intention. I mean, if you're just going to design a die of a fireplace, it better have personality. Okay. This is very kind of Beauty and the Beast looking, you know, where, you know, the fire and the flame goes out. It just has a cool element to it. But I love how Pete created this card. There on the back, you can see kaleidoscope. That's why we wanted a much bigger folder, because it creates a bigger background for bigger cards. You can see he used that Merry Christmas, but this, you got to take a look at it. I believe that this is done with embossing powder. And knowing what Pete did on those leaves for the last release, I'm betting he cut this out and then used embossing ink and like a platinum or a silver embossing powder, because look at it. Look at how rounded. I mean, metallic cardstock's great, don't get me wrong, but just the moltenness of that embossing powder, isn't that cool? It's like getting out those those toys from the toy box. You're like, I haven't really put embossing powder on a die for a long time. So that's a good one to do. But here's the fireplace where the die itself does add these textures. So like these little bricks and stones right here, this is part of the die. So if you ink the die before you die cut it, it will deboss that black color into those areas. Okay, you can do stamping on the back to create a wood grain texture, but even the panels of this, all part of the die. These pieces, these layered pieces, all part of the die. And then you've got that little gate, you've got the flames, then it even has the garland piece, a couple of stockings, and the ribbon. So just the stockings and the ribbon could go on a card without the fireplace, without that. The garland could be used as like streamers for, again, birthday cards, celebratory cards, New Year's. You can still use that. And I think case in point is what Zoe did. Zoe Hillman created this, and like they arrived yesterday. I couldn't have been happier. I saw this and I'm like, yes. Okay. Look at how brilliant this is. So these are etc. tags. These are Stampers Anonymous etc. tags as the foundation. But I love how Zoe took a lot of different dies, but used them the same for a different season. So if you look here, you can see, and I'll hold each one up close so you can see the details because they are freaking fabulous. But you've got the fireside, but then you've got the whole Halloween vibe with the drippy candles and the potion bottles and the portraits, and the background is just embossed with, you know, you've got the damask background, you've got the spider web, these creepy silhouettes. But see, all of these are all, this is from, think Hocus Pocus, the little witch, where you have the potion bottles, or if you had Laboratory, you've got the drippy candles. I think this came from Vault, when we did the Vault holiday wreath that had the little drippy candles, because those are clustered, and I love how she layered those as well. I love that she's got Wicked across that, but take a look at the detail of the fireplace. Whether you use wood grain, you can use wood grain cardstock or an embossing folder, and look at the brick in the back using one of the 3D embossing folders. But I also love that the detail in there, there's little sticks in there, and the fire is put out. You know, it's kind of like creepy. The fire's out and you're just going by candlelight. Doesn't it just have all the feels? So good. And then a whole festive vibe where the fire is roaring. You've got that great color, just totally different kind of wood grain texture. The stockings are hung. You've got the tree and the baubles. I love how she's got same drippy candles, but now it's got a little bit of the greenery to make them festive. A little package, some fruit slices also from the wreath. And even look how she used the portraits, but totally adorned the frames. Like these have little bats on them, and these she just used the little greens and the bows. And then adding a little wreath. I mean, it's all in the details to tell the story. And that to me is magical. I absolutely love that. So even if you're inspired by the ideas of that, that's what it's all about. Just to say, oh my gosh, I even love the idea of like, I've got that portrait, I've got the frame, I'm going to just use that as a card. Or I love the idea of adding wood grain paper. I love just the drippy candles. You can look at the whole thing and say, I need to make that, but you can also get ideas from how a maker sees things and uses elements in a unique way. So who knew there'd be that much inspiration for a fireplace, right? Wow, so good. All right, let me carefully stack these. A lot of detailed pieces. I do love that. Okay, moving right along. We still have piles of inspiration. Crazy, not many dies, but a lot of inspiration. All right, we're gonna talk about Merry and Bright. Kubert created this one, so let me just bring this in. So I love this die because, again, if you're looking for quick, simple cards, this die set, like it fills an A2. That's what I was saying. It's big and beautiful. I love the background with that kaleidoscope. So you can see it's embossed, and then she did a little ink blending. It's got some mica, it's got some crackle. It's just a very festive card. Just the color choices of everything. I love it. It's just, that's what's fun about even taking a die and changing it in so many different ways. So Emma created this one, Bright, but then just did Make It. So that's from a stamp set. So I think maybe we did Make It Merry. I don't remember what the rest of the sentiment is on this, but I love how she has Make It Bright and just used the bright word. That again, embossed, but take a look at how she used engraved, and it's so shiny back there, mica stain or maybe distressed spritz, and how she layered those. I mean, the colors are just so wintry and beautiful. So Make It Bright is great for the season. For winter, I love, again, this is Vault, where we've got the poinsettia sketch, you got the layers on there, and then not only the sketch pieces, but I also love all of those little tiny details. I mean, even down to the little bumps on there to make it look like mistletoe of that. I'm telling you, this die. It's also like a fill in the blanker, right? Because you can do it and it just fills in the blanks. So I just think it's beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Love it. Juliana created this one. Love the background. Again, seeing the engraved and the colors. Bright, making spirits bright. So even pairing that word with another stamp sentiment, I think that's great. This is old school, this deer. I think this is even a Biggs die. I think is very cool. So even mixing classics with classics, why not? But the whole background, the greens. So see, when you're just sitting around and you cut these out, whether that's colored cardstock or pre-inked papers or your spray backgrounds, whatever, it's really nice that you can just start tucking these pieces in. And before you know it, like the whole entire scene comes to life. And for this particular branch, you can see that Juliana did red tips on the berries, and you could either, add gems, you can do little paper punches, you can use, dimensional elements. And then you have Emma that used the same die, but made it look like mistletoe by adding white, right? Or just winter berries. So it's a nice thing to just take a shape like the berries and give it some personality, depending on what type of theme you want for those. Ooh, sparkly. Jen created this one. Look at the simplicity of that, and so sparkly and shiny. This is some glittery cardstock. I love that. Merry and bright. Die cut a couple times, so it's got some stacked dimension, and then just over that white kaleidoscope background, and just a couple little snips of holly and some berries. Isn't that great? Flashy, sparkly, pretty, clean and simple. I love that. Sharon created this. So if your thing is more color, more colorful, look at this. I mean, just how those colors pop on that black card base. But these are different colors. It looks like distressed spritz on there because there's inky colors. And I don't know if the light's going to pick it up. There you go. You can see the shine, the coordinating shine of distressed spritz. So, or doing any kind of sprays. And then I love that Merry & Bright is just done in a really nice iridescent kind of glittery cardstock. This is where you get your glitter cardstock out and you don't apologize for it. It's like, bring it on. I do love that. I love the look and the little sparkles. But see, a die set of just words can have so many different personalities depending on the maker and what you see in it. Pete created both of these. So I love how he took Merry and Bright and just made two completely different cards using the new background. So we've got kaleidoscope and you have engraved, doing some inking, a little distressing, and then that's what I was talking about, more embossing powder. So just a die cut. This is done with like a silver or platinum embossing powder. This is done with gold, and then just adding words. And words could be from a stamp set, or if you have a printer, just print them. Print them on your computer, cut it out, and create the sentiment that you want. So I do love the idea of just using a word and then just filling in your sentiment with other things, be that stamps or what you're printing. So cool. So much inspiration. All right. Louisa created this one. So I like the idea of like a holiday journal or a gift journal or anything, but using it on a much larger piece. So this is just a journal cover, how she created wraparound. You can see this is done with engraved, just done in black, like Kraftstock, and then sanded. I love that. I love the mix of ideology ephemera and then adding die cut pieces, stitching it on, adding a little bit of lace, and then just doing Merry and Bright over that background, some splatter, and all the little festive bits just sticking out. Isn't that cool? And especially out of black, because I think that the contrast of having the black and white and these little pops of color is really nice. So if you're doing an art journal, or again, a bigger piece, or you're into mixed media, dies are tools. So sometimes people look at dies and they're like, oh, I don't make cards or I don't make tags, but I make this. You can use a die pretty much in anything that you make, just using it. I've seen people that, take dies and make stencils out of it for cake decorating. So there's a lot of ways you can look at dies in different ways. But that's case in point for just Merry and Bright, how many different ways you can use just a simple sentiment. All right, let me grab these. We're going to keep going. I hope you guys are finding the inspiration really, like, even if you just find an idea, you may not like the whole thing, or you may love it and you want to replicate it, but it's really about sparking your inspiration that you want to do, that you want to make. All right. So this next one, we kind of mix it in because it does use Merry and Bright, but it also uses, I'm going to bring in the snow globe. So Vicky created this one. I'm going to bring this up because when you see the texture of the background, it's like Vicky always gets her grunge on. I love that she will embrace any style of a design, but she's going to do it her way. And she loves grunge and industrial look. So the background you can see is that engraved, but you don't notice any floral or snowflake vibe to it. It just looks like tooled metal. I love how she did this big globe out of metallic. And it actually, to me, when in metallic, it looks more like a moon than, say, an acetate globe. And it's all scuffed up and alcohol ink. There's so many cool techniques that she shares. You've got the big word Mary over the top. And then she just took some of those little elements from this die and just added those little dwellings and used an ideology word plaque for Season of Magic. See, like you do something like this, it's a card. It could go in a frame. It could be a gift for people. You just need to use your imagination and take that idea to any level you want, okay? Whatever you like. Because you're going to see that this die has different personalities because Sharon is very colorful. And I mean, she did the rainbow Merry and Bright. Well, there's a little rainbow village. Again, you're going to see spritz in the background, but look at all these little colorful houses. So if you're into the holiday of happiness, there you go. Happy colors. You can use those pieces. Do a little stamping on the background. That's all done in pink. But see, that's fun and whimsy. Crazy to think the same die has completely different. I mean, this is almost like, you know, Gotham City, and then we've got just like little Skittletown. It's beautiful though. I love the sparkles of that. So makes me happy when I see what people do with colors and dyes and all of that. So Pete created this one. Again, just when you look, so just for a moment, try to not see the village and just look at those elements, because I talked about the moon and stars and the clouds. You can use the moon, cloud, and stars for children's cards, baby things, because it has such a soft, almost like nursery rhyme kind of look to the style of this. So even those elements could be used, say, with a colorized animal. Maybe you're going to do something for a kid's birthday or something like that, where you want to have maybe Winifred or Gertrude, you know, those animals, and then you have this little bedtime story Mother Goose in the background. Very cool just for those. But of course, pairing it with all of these little buildings and the trees inside the globe also makes it magical for the season. But it's not just about the globe, because as I told you, this is a separate die. I mean, it's included, but I'm just saying, like, the die could be used many other ways or not at all. So these other cards that Pete made totally prove that point about just taking the buildings, because each one is separate, and creating whatever scene you want. So that's that same stamp set. We know what it was. I don't remember it, but it was shared earlier. But I love the idea of a stamp sentiment and how he just cut cardstock, like just in the little round, and made these little buildings and staggered them on a card. So no globe, no dome, no nothing, just use that. And then there are the Scribbly Snowflakes, because Scribbly Snowflakes, as I told you, it's a fave. It's just a cool accent because it doesn't have to be to scale. It just has such an illustrative whimsy vibe. I absolutely love it. So I love that he used those. And then this one just, well, you could tell it has my heart. Why? It's brown. It's all brown, and brown makes me happy. But from our family to yours, and he just used one of the little dwellings, whichever one you choose, because the die cuts out those little bricks. So those aren't anything you have to glue on. It's a cutout. These little window panes you get to glue on wherever you want. It already has that little separate roof, so it does create that dimension for you. The little triangular trees, that's a die in there, so you get a bunch of those little trees. And then he just put it on just some stamped script in white and wrapped it around with some twine on craft. That's my jam right there. Like, I love that. And again, you could use this even if it wasn't for the holidays. This could be for neighbors, friends. You can make it look like a little back to school. You make it look like a schoolhouse. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can take a design and use it more than just the holidays. That's where I think even the industry is in general, about seeing beyond just the season of what we buy something for. So Tammy B created this. I mean, look at this one. Wazoo, beautiful. Love the background. These are etc. pieces. So this is an etc. tag, etc. facade. I love the background paper. This one you can see this is all engraved in that craft. And then just how all the different colors that she used for her little scene. She's got those little snowy mountains. See how they sparkle? All those little greens. See, that's what I was saying, that fill in the blank. Cut out all the pines. I mean, you see how detailed and spiky all those little pines are, mixing and matching. Adding the little berries, little Merry Christmas ideology. But isn't that just Yum. That is like Dickens right there. I love it. I love the colors. I love the vintage vibe. But when you take a look at just the inspiration from that snow globe, it's like, wow, okay, I don't care about the globe. I want a bunch of little houses that I can put on cards or create scenes or mix and match even with cityscape. That would work. So love the inspiration, you guys. It makes me so happy when I see it. I'm like, I love that. I love that whole look. All right. We're going to do a lot with just Scribbly snowflakes because it's really fun to see how some makers love it just like I did. We're going to start with like Pete's Makes because you just tell Pete's also a fan of this. It's a cool die, guys. Even if you're like, I'm only going to get one of them, I don't know which one. Well, pick the one that you like the most. But if you're looking for versatility and simplicity, it's this one because you can cut a lot of these and just have them in a pile and just add to a whole different aesthetic design. So here you can see some different card ideas. This is just cut out with pink cardstock, light pink cardstock, just glued onto dark pink. And then he did a little sheet of, this could be vellum or this could be just like a frosted plastic and then a stamped sentiment. Boom, done. So no inking, no spraying, no blending, just done. Or if you like to ink, do the same. Just do that out of white cardstock, glue it down so it's white on white, and then just ink blend and look at how it just adds that little shading to the texture because these are already adhered. Stamped sentiment, and I love how he layered that over kaleidoscope. And I even love like when you look at Pete's cards, it always has a little juxtaposition change, you know, where things are just kind of glued on the wonk, but not too wonky. Very cool. Love that. And then you can see just a bigger card taking the same idea, but just make it a bigger scale, whatever size cards you like to make, but still white cardstock on white cardstock, and then just do a little blending. You can add little bits of greenery. These got a little scrunched coming from the UK. I love it though. Little stamped sentiment, and again, that inked background. So just seeing those scribbly snowflakes with color, wonderful. But Pete also gets his grunge on. He loves a lot of black and using paint as an overlay. So if grunge is more your style, these fit right in. So, and Pete loves to share a lot of techniques. So definitely check out Sizzix YouTube channel because that's where you can find a lot of videos from Pete, and he does a lot of tutorials. And I'm sure he shared a lot of stuff already for this release. So check it out. But I love the idea of just the dark cardstock and just some paint overlays. Isn't that cool? It's like just looks like such a blizzard, and then all is calm, all is bright. Well, let's hope. Beautiful. This one, I mean, just when I see work, I'm like, okay, I know who made this. Vicky made this. It's again vintage, grungy, but in totally true style. So let's just talk about how many die cuts went into this, because this is where if you just sit around and you're like, I'm not motivated to make anything, you should still, but you want to be creative, just get out your dies, get out some paper, and just start cutting. The whole background is all done with scribbly snowflakes. So you can see the entire background texture is just scribbly snowflakes, just glued on, glued on, glued on. And then she did paint, grunging, distress, all of that. So it just looks like just this wonderful, weathered, textured background. And then we've got the most glorious wreath of all sorts of different junipers and pines and berries in all different colors. And although it's flat, because if you can put it in a box and someone can get it flat, but because you don't glue everything down totally flat, you can just zhuzh it and give it life. But look at all those layers of all of those greens. When I told you it's a fill in the blank, this is what I meant. That you don't have to be a florist to put things together. You can just layer this and create a wreath. You can create a swag. You can create a little cluster. And then she used that Mary from Merry and Bright. But I mean, that's just a ton of die cutting when you see it. But it's so cool because if you have a pile of elements for the season, you just start using them. Ink them, spray them. It's just really, really cool. Absolutely love that. And so this is on an ideology vignette box. Should you use a vignette box, just use the other side of it and use it as a panel. So now it can stand up, it can hang on the wall. Just cool. A lot of pieces. And I thought that was a lot of pieces. And it is. And then I saw this and I was like, what in the world? All right. Natifa created this one. Take a look at this. This is an envelope, so this card's going to come out. But we're just going to slowly go through. And I don't even think it's possible to count all these. Maybe she knows exactly how many she cut, because when you look at the frame, you're like, whoa, that's a lot. Yeah. And then it's even covered on the back. And they're all sparkly. They've got rock candy on them. They've got a little bit of mica. It's just glorious. And this is a functioning envelope. That's what's crazy, because at first I saw this, I'm like, oh, it's like a winter house. And then I'm like, nah, it's got to be some type of envelope. And that's just how she photographed it. But really, a functioning envelope. And then you take out the card and look at that. You've got that merry and bright with that embossed of kaleidoscopes, just so cool in white. It's just like very gingerbread. So you could even take out the card and just kind of replace it with a photo or something. That's just cool, isn't it? I mean, the amount of work and detail, but this is what I was saying. You can just cut and cut and cut. I think that's what's really cool. Beautiful, right? So yeah, I know. How many snowflakes are there? I'm not sure. She probably would know because she's like cutting. It does look like lace. You're right, Kate. It's like, I just think it's magical. And seeing all of that, like, this is where, like, to me, it's always validation. Sometimes I pick, when you design stuff and you have favorites, you're like, I don't really know. Maybe it's just mine, but nobody gets it. And that's okay. I still stand by my decisions. But when I see it, I'm like, it's just validation, where you're like, wow, I knew it was cool, but I didn't know it was that cool. And it just gives me new ideas and inspiration for it. So that's magical. Magical inspiration for a snowflake die. You're like, I don't know how I would use it other than just cutting it out. It's just amazing. Okay. Let me put these away. We're in the home stretch. We've got Winston to cover, and then we can wrap it up. But Winston's a great one because he's got fun personality. Let me just slide this stuff over. All right, here we go. So this one, I'm not sure who did this one. Do we know? Maybe this was, I don't know who, I honestly don't know who made this one. Sorry, I'll find out and I'll make sure to tag them on when I post the edits on YouTube. I'll make sure, because I'll link all the makers as well when we do the video. And this will be on the blog following this, so the maker will be, so sorry, I don't know. There's no name on it. But this is an etc. tag. I love the whole kaleidoscope background that's inked. We've got Winston in there. Look at how inky he is. Little mica. Absolutely love that. Keisha made this. All right, cool. Perfect. Shout out to Keisha. I love it. And then we've got Winter Wishes. This is from Twig and Stump, that Winter Wishes. I love the scribbly snowflakes, but see, just Winston is just cute. He's got great personality. Some people think he looks grumpy. I don't. I think he looks cold, and he should. I think that's the cool part of his personality. But it's always in the eye placement as well. Kubert created this one for Winston. I love the background. It's got some stenciling, a little inking, a little smushing, maybe some brayering. I love that little bit. So this is Snowflakes. These are the new distressed snowflakes because we got the bit of mica, rock candy, and that little iridescent shine. Creates a very snowy look. But I love just the similarity in the colors, but the change in style and background. Just think it's really fun. Emma created this. Take a look at this vignette. This is a vignette tray. And I love how she used that kaleidoscope on the outside, just red, and then it's kind of like dry brush with a silver metallic. Isn't that pretty? So good. But the whole background, because the trays, you could work on the inside just like a box or work on the outside. And I love how she's got the Ideology plaid backdrops, and then we've got Winston right there. I love the colors. I love all the little detail of the snow. There's a scribbly snowflakes because I told you, like, the pairing of those two. Perfect. There's all of those little greens. There's some Ideology baubles, look like little snowballs. And then just that big word Merry. And then she added Christmas. And again, whether that's a stamp you have or a sticker or you print it out, you can still create a sentiment just from a big word die. That's the importance of having big word dies. Some people are like, I don't know what I do with it. You could do everything with it. You just take that and you could fill in the blank. So, even if you had you wanted to add the word before or after, I think that's the thing as creatives. We can be imaginative that way. Don't you love it? So far, totally different vibes. Because Winston, well, he's a snowman, obviously, but how the makers kind of utilized him and create different things was like mind-blowing. So Juliana created this one. Look at Winston in this little snow globe. And I was like, what? And then I was like, where did she get the snow globe? Honestly, I thought about that when I set it up yesterday. I'm like, hello, Captain Obvious. That's the snow globe with the village. There's the village. So beautiful. What's that?
Captain Captain Obvious. He's my favorite.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Winston's your favorite. He's cool. Yeah, absolutely love just the shakety shake in there. You've got that scribbly snowflake going around and just using part of Winston in there. Just a very cool idea for adding the snowman with the globe, and then you have that kaleidoscope in the back. Just beautiful. What a cool card. Captain Obvious is your fave. Well, there's a lot of that happens. There's a lot of that happens with me. So Jen created this one. This Winston, I love the colors. I love the teal and the turquoise little ideology stickers, using some stencils for the background. So, I mean, I hope when you're seeing the inspiration, I look at him and he just makes me happy. I think it's really, really charming to see Winston in all of his happiness. Pete created this, walking in a Winston Wonderland. So there's celebration of Winston right there. But look at just the color choices. So if you're not into doing a lot of inking and grunge, the whole thing about a layered die is that just choosing different colors of cardstock can really change the whole appearance of a shape or a design. So I love how Pete went in and just switched up his colors just to create all that shadow and depth. The detail of Winston's scarf, as I mentioned, one of my favorites, the little broom. And then this is just on little corrugate, scribbly snowflakes. And Pete also created this one. He did so much, especially, just the fact that he had to do them twice. But again, this has a little bit of inking on there, so that's where you're getting all of your shading. But I love the whole idea that if you're not into inking, do cardstock. If you're not into cardstock, do inking, and you can still get all of that depth. I also love how we've got these metallic snowflakes, but just sitting on this piece of acetate and then cropped. And I like that it's cropped smaller than the card because it really, really creates a cool background. Isn't that neat? Very clever. So many clever ideas with Winston. We have a couple more. So Jeanette created a mixed media piece with Winston, and her colors, I mean, she just creates a whole mixed media background with all sorts of texture. There's some sparkle in there, but even just looking at her color choices for Winston, and just the fact that she's got just a tiny little nose and eyes, you don't have to use the carrot elements, but just all of those colors and layers. So if you like to just do mixed media, you like to do paints, you like to do textures, you like to do all that, you can still use a design in your style. That to me is what's magic. And this is about just, I also love just the fact that we've got like the warm and the sky and then the cool winter, just the changing of the seasons. It's fab. Isn't that cool? Big art piece for a great little die. Wild just to see it. And then we'll wrap it up with one more Pete make because, well, like I said, there's beauty in simplicity. I think you could tell. When things are just brown, it just makes me happy. I love the idea that he just took a wood slice. He just took some ideology trees. Winston is all cut out of craft. It's all craft. And then he just went in with white paint or white ink and just added some of that shading, and that's it. So just going from like all of the colors, all of the layers and textures, adding different elements to the back, making shakety shake, doing bright winter elements, adding your own color style, or just keeping it neutral. Pretty amazing that one snowman can have all of these different looks and personalities. That's what I love about the release and bringing back these holiday classics. So there we go.